Hi guys, and if you're new, welcome to the channel. My name is Chef D, and for today's recipe of the week, it is a walnut pesto pasta recipe. Heading away from the regular basil pesto, we're actually still going to be using basil, so don't worry, but we are actually going to be making this with walnuts and pecorino romano. As you know, pecorino romano and walnuts are much more budget friendly than pine nuts and the original Parmigiano Reggiano or just Parmesan cheese. So I got you also in that aspect that you're gonna be eating an amazing sauce-based type of meal. And like you'll see in the video, I actually love meal prepping this. I'll literally make a whole batch, save it up, and I will use it on my pastas. And like you'll see in the video, on my beautiful chicken piccata with fresh cherry tomatoes. And honestly, this recipe, this walnut pesto recipe, is just an amazing, and it's such a staple. So I hope you guys enjoy this recipe, and let's head over to the video. Starting off with our fresh basil, we are going to need 2.5 cups of this beautiful freshness. I am using my plant, but don't worry, just use store-bought fresh basil. And now we are ready to put in our 1/2 cup of walnuts. These are raw walnuts, not toasted. Now our 3/4 cup of either pecorino romano or gran padano. And this is a more budget-friendly version of the Parmesan cheese, and it is still delicious and still has that powerful kick. Next are 3 whole large garlic cloves right into the food processor, NutriBullet, or blender. Next, we are adding 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now we are going to be adding half of the amount of olive oil to make a paste before adding the basil and the other half of the olive oil. Now this is a trick to my pesto. I love getting the paste first, then whizzing it up until it becomes fine and I would say a bit granulated and rustic and just beautiful. As you see in the video, this is what we are left with, and the reason I do this is because I don't want to be tearing up the basil when we're doing this. So this is when the basil comes in. We're just popping up that lid of whatever food processor blender you have and adding in our 2.5 cups of basil. Now it's when we will add the rest of the remainder of the olive oil and just pop that cover on, or if you're using a food processor, you can just take the lid off and slowly drizzle in the olive oil. But because I am using a NutriBullet, I'm just adding the rest of the olive oil in there and just scoop it out with either a spoon like you see here or a fork, whatever you have, just to get everything in there. And you see that beautiful paste that is kind of stuck on my NutriBullet. I'm just putting that right in. We don't want to miss anything. Another reason why I love doing this is because I really want to get that fresh green tone, and I have experimented it just having everything done at once, and it is just not the same consistency of what I really look for in a basil pesto walnut recipe. And this is the consistency that I'm looking for. It's chunky, like you see, it's very green and very luscious. It is smooth, but yet it is still chunky. And that's one of the reasons why I do this. We don't want to tear apart a lot of the basil. Like, I don't want a smoothie. I want it to be chunky. I want it to be like the real pesto, like if you were doing in a mortar and pestle. And this is this beautiful walnut pesto recipe. It is very budget friendly. It is absolutely delicious, tangy, cheesy, and so good. For the pasta portion of this recipe, I definitely recommend using your favorite store-bought pasta and just making sure the key here is when you are adding the walnut pesto to that pasta, that pasta is hot, because once we mix this up, it's really just gonna have that beautiful sauce and everything is gonna get really melted together, and it's really gonna stick to that starchiness of the pasta of your choice. And that is it for this recipe. You'll see later on in the video another way that I prepped up this walnut pesto. Now that we have our walnut pesto all with that pasta, now it is time for my favorite, and that is plating this beautiful dish. This walnut pesto recipe is not limited only to pasta. Like you'll see an example, I am putting a beautiful dollop of this walnut pesto on top of my seared sliced chicken breast that I have topped with fresh tomatoes and parsley. You can definitely add this to any sort of protein of your choice, even any sandwich bread, beautiful pizza, and flatbread topper to add a bit more of that flavor. So the options are endless and very versatile for this walnut pesto. So now we have our beautiful recipe, and I just kind of wanted to give it a test try. It is just so beautiful, so luscious and creamy, and that's what I really love about this recipe, is that it is just so versatile. Like for example, right now I'm actually having this with spaghetti, but you can definitely use this with whatever protein of choice, a little bit of drizzle on that, even a little bit of drizzle on top of like a toast. Let's give it a taste try. Oh wow. It's nutty, it's cheesy. Gosh, this is just awesome. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of the week, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. If you do make this recipe, don't forget to reach out to me. I love seeing your pictures. I love seeing your responses, and I hope you guys have an amazing day or night. Ciao.